When legal problems in real estate and business are preventable but often ignored the cost of overlooking legal basics in real estate and business, many problems are not born from bad luck or sudden crises but from slow neglect. Contracts are signed without review, handshake deals substitute for written agreements, and small misunderstandings grow into expensive disputes. Across the United States, particularly in fast-growing regions, business owners and developers often treat legal issues as an afterthought, something to address only when a deal goes wrong. Legal experts warn that this mindset has real costs. Lawsuits, compliance failures, and breached contracts can destroy relationships and reputations that took years to build. In commercial real estate especially, the margin for error is small. One misstep in zoning, permitting, or lease agreements can halt entire projects. Yet, despite these risks, preventive legal measures remain underused. Professionals like David Ruzumna of Seattle, Washington, who has built a career advising clients in both real estate and business law, often see the same pattern repeat. Entrepreneurs and property owners frequently reach out for help only after a problem has already escalated. The temptation to move fast. Business owners and developers share a common impulse to move quickly. In a competitive market, the instinct is to act fast, secure the deal, and figure out the details later. This urgency can create blind spots. Verbal promises replace carefully drafted contracts, and standard templates are reused without understanding what they actually commit parties to. In regions where real estate development is booming, such as the Southeast, deals are often closed in rapid succession. Each one carries its own set of risks, obligations, and local regulatory requirements. Ignoring those details might save time in the short term but can expose investors to hidden liabilities. Attorneys familiar with this environment say that prevention is always less costly than damage control. Simple steps such as clear documentation, properly reviewed agreements, and legal consultation before signing can make the difference between success and an expensive setback. Why preventable problems keep happening? The persistence of preventable legal issues is not due to lack of information. Access to knowledge is easier than ever. What keeps people from acting, experts suggest, is mindset. Many entrepreneurs view legal consultation as an unnecessary expense. They assume that lawyers are only for large corporations or crisis management, not everyday decision-making. David Ruzumna and others who work in both real estate and business law argue that this perception is outdated. Legal advice, when integrated early, is a form of risk management that protects investments before they are threatened. It is not about finding loopholes but about creating clarity. Every party must understand their obligations, rights, and boundaries from the start. There is also a cultural factor at play. In business, confidence is often prized over caution. Seeking legal review can be perceived as a lack of trust or hesitation. In reality, it is the opposite. The strongest partnerships are those that are clearly defined and legally sound. They allow everyone involved to move forward with confidence rather than assumption. The high stakes of real estate deals. Few industries illustrate the consequences of legal neglect more vividly than real estate. Each transaction involves multiple layers such as ownership rights, financing terms, land use restrictions, and construction contracts. A single missed clause or unverified title can unravel a deal that seems solid on the surface. In the Southeast, where rapid development continues to reshape cities, these risks are multiplied. As demand rises, more private investors and smaller firms enter the market. Not all are equipped with in-house legal teams or experienced counsel. Mistakes often stem from inexperience rather than intent. Professionals like David Ruzumna emphasize that the complexity of real estate law is exactly why prevention is so important. Issues involving property boundaries, liens, and zoning compliance rarely resolve themselves. Once litigation begins, it is not only money at stake but also time, momentum, and opportunity. Projects stall, financing evaporates, and relationships with partners and local officials become strained. The role of good counsel, having reliable legal guidance, is not just about avoiding lawsuits. It is about understanding the rules of the game and using them to make smarter decisions. A good attorney helps clients see beyond the immediate transaction, how one clause might affect long-term ownership, how a partnership agreement could influence future investments, or how a regulatory change might impact development plans. David Ruzumna's work in this field reflects that philosophy. His approach is rooted in foresight, helping clients identify vulnerabilities before they become liabilities. Whether drafting contracts or resolving disputes, his goal is not simply to fix what is broken but to strengthen the foundation of each deal. Legal counsel should not be viewed as a one-time service but as a continuing partnership. Just as businesses rely on accountants for financial oversight, ongoing legal review should be standard practice. Laws evolve, markets shift, and what worked last year may not hold up today. Regular consultation keeps companies aligned with current regulations and best practices. Bridging business law and real estate and business law are deeply interconnected. A property purchase often involves complex business entities, financing structures, and partnerships. Likewise, business transactions, from mergers to leases, frequently hinge on real estate holdings. Ignoring this overlap can lead to fragmented strategies where one decision inadvertently undermines another. Experts who straddle both disciplines, like David Ruzumna, bring an integrated perspective. They help clients see how the legal frameworks that govern business operations also shape property decisions. For example, structuring ownership through the right type of entity can protect personal assets and simplify tax obligations. Similarly, understanding how contract law interacts with real estate transactions can prevent conflicts between partners and investors. In the Southeast, where new developments often involve local partnerships and cross-border investment, this dual expertise is especially valuable. Each state has its own regulations and permitting processes. A single oversight, such as failing to verify zoning requirements or misunderstanding financing terms, can create ripple effects that affect not just one property but entire portfolios. Lessons from overlooked details: the most common legal problems are rarely dramatic. They start small, such as a missed deadline, a vague clause, or an unsigned page. Over time, these small details accumulate, creating confusion and conflict. Consider the example of a commercial lease where maintenance responsibilities are not clearly defined. When something breaks, both landlord and tenant assume the other party is responsible. Without a clear contract, resolution often requires mediation or litigation. The cost of that uncertainty can outweigh the original issue. These are the kinds of preventable problems that attorneys like David Ruzumna see regularly. They are not born of negligence but of misplaced priorities. Businesses that view legal structure as a strategic tool rather than an obstacle are better equipped to adapt and thrive. Changing attitudes toward legal preparedness: in recent years, there has been a gradual shift in how businesses view legal preparedness. Younger entrepreneurs, especially those in real estate technology and sustainable development, are more inclined to integrate legal review into their workflow. This shift is partly due to the accessibility of information and partly due to witnessing the fallout of past mistakes in the industry. Still, the gap between awareness and action remains wide. Many companies recognize the importance of compliance and contract clarity yet fail to allocate budget or time for it. Changing that mindset requires both education and example. Legal professionals like David Ruzumna continue to advocate for a culture of prevention, where legal review is seen not as a cost but as an investment in stability. A culture of prevention and trust. Building trust in business requires transparency, and transparency begins with clearly defined agreements. Preventing legal issues is not just about avoiding conflict but about fostering confidence among all parties involved. Developers, investors, and partners are more willing to collaborate when expectations are explicit and commitments are enforceable. In a region experiencing as much growth as the Southeast, that kind of trust is invaluable. Communities depend on responsible development, and responsible development depends on solid legal foundations. When contracts are clear and obligations understood, projects move smoothly, relationships endure, and opportunities expand. Why prevention defines sustainable success in real estate and business? Prevention is often the most overlooked form of strategy. The best outcomes are not the result of bold risks alone but of careful preparation. Avoiding preventable legal problems is not about caution but about control. It allows entrepreneurs and developers to focus on building, not rebuilding. Professionals like David Ruzumna remind us that in an industry driven by growth, true progress depends on foresight. The businesses that thrive are those that understand the rules before they play the game. In the end, the simplest lesson remains the most powerful. When legal foundations are strong, everything built upon them stands a better chance of lasting.